book, but one of our rules, and I mean like a rule, it's a covenant, it's an expectation, is that we don't emotionally stack for negative pieces.
Okay.
So if I didn't meet an expectation, tell me. If you didn't meet an expectation, I won't tell you.
No matter how big or small it is.
Whatever it is, hey, this is what I would have hoped.
Hey,
what's good, people?
Yeah. Welcome to As a Man Readeth. I'm Good Bad.
This is Trey D.
And we are starting from chapters 7 through 9, which goes desire, anger.
Yep. Reading again, Dr. David R. Hawkins, Letting Go, The Path of Surrender.
I messed up the flow. That's what it was. I was like, something else is right there. Like I was like,
you're good. Everything's rocking.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so let's jump into it because we just finished Fear.
Fear, yep.
And the conversation we talked about, and I think the last thing we were talking about was, I love this last part. It was the last page of this section said the degree to which we have not allowed ourselves to experience reality of our own true self is representative by our resentment toward those who've actually done so. And it says, as we keep letting go, getting lighter, and becoming freer, we will unfortunately see the nature of the world like a pail of crabs. And that's like, it's almost like once you get past fear, you start to kind of see things in a lot of different lights, which can happen. Right. But it's also about, it says, one of the big lines in here, I'm sorry, I skipped over this part. This is really key. We resent their aliveness in the areas that we feel disabled. That is... So that's a hater. That's what we would say. Like, I don't use the term a lot at all, if any. But we resent their aliveness in the areas in which we feel disabled.
And not that we are, but feel disabled.
Yep.
And so people desire that thing.
Yep.
And that's chapter 7.
Yep.
And I'm just going to start off because he's so good at just setting things up. He says this emotion, desire, may range from a mild wanting to an obsessive driven craving for something or someone. This is me in high school. It is also expressed as greed, obsession, hunger, envy, jealousy, clinging, hoarding, ruthlessness, fixation, frenzy, exaggeration, overambition, selfishness, lust, possessiveness, control, glamorization, insatiability, acquisitiveness. Never satisfied, never enough, must have. The underlying quality of this motion is its drivenness. And when we are after the effective desire, we are no longer free. We are controlled by it, run by it, enslaved, and led by the nose by it. That was like a rhyme. He done dropped a verse.
This is so interesting because you're like, okay, wait, this is kind of, I was like, man, wait, how'd you get here? We just talked about, even in the last episode, you gotta set your mind on what you want. And and he's like, but also, right. So, and I think the attachment makes it even more, it concretizes it, right?
Yep.
So I started thinking about it makes it heavier, and that could be a good thing in your mind, but it doesn't allow for it to be shaped as easy sometimes. It's like dry concrete. If we move without as strong as like a attachment to it, we can shape it as we go.
Okay.
Instead of letting it be like a strong block, and we're trying to now chip to what we have in our head. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Are you saying to do it that way? Or it should not be done that way?
I'm saying if you're gonna, I'm saying do not. What he's saying is about not having that attachment as we move, even with desire, because it's going to create a little bit of habit.
The reason I asked that is because my mind went in a different direction. It's this thing that's taking up so much space. It's kind of like it's cramping me.
Yeah.
You got to kind of let that go. You know what you want? It's almost like if you're swiping, I don't do the Tinder and all that type of stuff, but you're like, oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. That's kind of how it's like, I see it, let it go. I see it, let it go.
Yeah.
Versus ooh, now let me get on the Facebook page. Let me print out pictures of the person. Let
Mhm.
me, so, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a bit much.
Dopamine binge.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Again, he said, so that's taking us into it being an obstacle, right?
Yeah.
You would think desire is just this positive um, emotion
Yeah.
to have,
Yeah.
but it can easily become, I would say, toxic.
Yep.
There's often, he says, a lack of understanding of the function of wanting and desire.
Yep.
The main illusion is seen in the statement, the only way that I'll get what I want is by desiring it. If I let go of my desire, then I won't get what I want. And he says, actually, the opposite is true. He says, desire, especially strong desire, i.e., craving, frequently blocks out our getting what we want.
That's so trippy, man.
And then he goes, see,
So how do you so what I start trying to figure out, like, how do you balance all of this?
how do you?
So because in one school of thought that you gotta see it, claim it,
You're
do
right.
what you need to do. Like, it's gotta be written on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
you know, gotta be made plain and certain, and, you know, and like boom. Oh, there it is. Look on the wall right now. Think it, speak it, claim it.
Right.
You gotta make it happen, right?
Right. Right.
And in what Dr. Hawkins is saying is like, chill. See it, don't go crazy over it. Like,
Don't be thirsty.
don't be thirsty about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really interesting to kind of like, how do you balance those two schools of thought, and which one? Because I've found that there's, again, some truth in, like, I know what I want, reason why I want it.
Right.
Not only what I want to achieve, but what I want to attain. So I
Mhm.
keep it, but I also don't know. But it's not. It's really the feeling I'm at. I really don't. So that's what I've noticed. I'm more so. I'm not chasing after. It's the feeling that I'll have from the achievement,
Mm-hmm.
or it's how I feel with the obtaining that thing,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times it's a part of that particular journey. I'm not really, because it can show up a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I've also learned to just, I'm there for the outcome of it, not just the thing. It's not about the certificate, it's how I felt in the learning process to get it. It's not about the piece of paper, diploma, or anything like that. It's about what I learned in that process and how I feel based upon it.
And it's letting go of the control of how it happens.
Right. Right. So if it does, so let's say, for example,
Mhm.
like, oh man, we supposed to be there. We thought we are gonna be in 3 years out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, three and a half. Lie, because we smart.
Right.
We supposed to be. We were
Oh, you in
brilliant.
college?
Yeah. You get a
Keep
spoon.
going.
No, you go spoon. You go spoon. Then it was just like, oh, then you hit you. You're like, oh,
I was like 3 years. When you graduate? Did you graduate when I graduated?
no,
When you graduate?
after, way after, way after.
Keep going, son.
So I think. So let me go back. So what happens is you go into like, oh, so now, and but see, that's the way you thought you was going. So you created this
Yep.
desire, and it was concrete,
Right. Supposed to be 4 years.
and you're like, things don't necessarily happen the way you see it. That's all. All right,
Right.
keep going. It's on you.
Man,
Throw it
yeah,
over
but
to you.
you just took me back though when I was thinking about it because it took me 5.
Yeah.
But we thought we were in the 4. What I'm saying is for me was you have the boundary,
Mhm.
you have the controlled event that is occurring, and you think it goes away. I'm just reiterating what I'm just thinking, which is you think it goes away. It does not go that way. But I thought I wanted this thing.
Mhm.
I thought I wanted it.
Yep.
And then as I did it, I realized something else. I had a new feeling
Mhm.
for me. Because I think I had the wrong intention to begin with. I would say, for me,
Mhm.
it wasn't even my own intention. Anyway, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere else.
Sometimes we've adopted the desires and wants of other people, and
Yes.
that's what that goes about to get into that. Let's go.
Right. And I think that's what happened. I
Mhm.
desired this thing because I was told I needed this thing to make money in the workplace.
Yeah.
got the degree as I was taking these classes. I interned my last year
we got to be
at a
careful with
particular
that.
company.
Yeah,
Bro,
you got to be careful with that.
I realized this is not what I wanted to do, but I was the same. It was done. I got to get the degree now.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter, I didn't use my degree for nothing
Nope.
because I was overqualified, one,
Mm-hmm.
and no experience.
Mm.
So now you're in that
Place.
place.
I don't know how that works. All right, come on, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm with you. So it says desire.
Yep.
Okay, so I said all that stuff earlier about that desire is the opposite of what you want. No. So basically, he says the only way I'll get what I want is by desiring it.
Yeah.
If I let go of my desire, then I won't get what I want.
Yeah.
And he says actually the opposite is true. How is that so? Well, desire literally means I do not have. You do not have that thing. But if you keep not having the thing, now I'm using stuff from other things that I've read. You're creating that vibration, that frequency. If I don't have it,
yeah.
I don't have
desire things that you don't have.
So when you were speaking, I realized that the desire, when you point out things that you want, like you said, from other schools of thought, the way you can do it that way is by letting go of it all. You set it up, you do it. I mean, you set it up, you see it, you forget it, and you keep it moving.
Yeah.
And allow those things to permeate in a way. I don't know it because he says in the book, the impossible becomes possible. The impossible becomes possible as soon as we are totally surrendered. 108. This is because wanting blocks. This is because wanting blocks receiving it and results in a fear of not getting it.
Yep.
The energy of desire is, in essence, a denial that what we want is ours for the asking. He just threw fear back up in there. You didn't even know it slipped back up in there. This is because wanting, so I want something. It blocks receiving it. I want this thing. Well, take it. Well, get it. Well, no, I want it. So you're in a state of.
You're in a dearth. You're in a lack state. I don't have it. That's why I want it. Because he talks about it like as you go into it. If we go to the other school of thought, interesting.
Right. And he says in a lower state of consciousness, the universe is seen as negative and denying, frustrating, and reluctant. It is like a bad, stingy parent. In a higher state of consciousness, our experience of the universe changes. It now becomes like a giving, loving, unconditionally approving parent who wants us to have everything we want, and it is ours for the asking. This is creating a different context. It is giving the universe. It is giving the universe a different meaning. A lot of breathing on this.
I think you start to notice. This is where it starts to get again. Fear is usually where people hold on the book. Yeah, like they'll stay there and put it down. Woof, okay, that's enough. If they come back to it a couple months later, you get right into this, and then it hits you. I text Goolsby. I text like, man, it's been slapping me around a little bit. I've been rereading the book. It's been slapping me around because I'm like, I think I missed something there when I read it the first time. Or I'll catch it, and it's like my highlights are crazy. It's like, oh, you need to. There's a reason you needed to remember this, and it's coming back, and it's coming back.
Right.
These things here, he's saying here, it does put you in a place again. What I kept thinking about, like, okay, how do you balance all of this? And I think what you may be trying to deal with the same thing, like, okay, I want it, but I got to let it go. I want it, but I got to let it go. I want it, and I got to let it go. So here's what I used to say, and I think about like relationships as well. That love has to happen in the realm of freedom. So, sometimes my lady was like, she's like, you can make that decision for me. I was like, no, I can't. I'm going to ask you. She says, yes, you can't. No, I'm going to tell you what's happening. But I can't make, like I said, don't we have an agreement that I can't make you do anything? And don't you know you can't make me do anything, right? Because I can be stubborn,
Right.
And I was like, so what I'm going to do, I can put the proposal out there, put the suggestion out there. You accept that and go from there. but always, and I'm not trying to control you. You're not going to try to control me. You are accountable for your decisions. I'm accountable for my decisions.
Correct.
And we're responsible also, but we're also kind of responsible for each other.
Right.
But it reminds me of like love happening only in a realm of freedom. So meaning that you put it's there and then you have to let it go. Gotta let it be.
Yeah.
You gotta let it go. Oh, that's a good way. You gotta release it. So you have to release the love, because you're trying to hold it in, like, I ain't gonna give her nothing to, or they, somebody else will be in a relationship. I ain't trying to get, until go ahead and release it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then move. Keep going. What you got?
Baby bird in the hand, man.
Oh, yes.
You want to live, let it go. If you want to grab something else, you got to open your hand. Oh, man.
Ah, boy.
Yeah. So this chapter was just so,
I see you got having, being, and doing highlighted too.
Yeah, got to.
Yeah.
Right. Should I just go where? Let me go.
No, I see that. What's that?
Well, the poor get poor and the rich get richer.
Yeah, that's a.
If we have a small view of ourselves, then we deserve. Then what we deserve. Damn. Then what we deserve is poverty, and our unconscious will see to it that we have that actually. As we relinquish our smallness and revalidate our own inner innocence, and as we let go of resisting our generosity, openness, trust, lovingness, and faith, then the unconscious will automatically start arranging life. Unconscious will automatically start arranging life circumstances so that abundance begins to flow into our life.
This is why we have to always know what our patterns are. The hypnotic rhythms, whatever it is, all the little habits and all those pieces. Once you start picking up, like, wait a minute, this is causing something. We talked about this earlier in the book too, but that's one of the pieces that's just like those unconscious habits or subconscious habits that we have. They're getting us somewhere. It's causing us to do certain things, even think a certain way.
Right.
It's causing us to self-sabotage ourselves. It's causing us to feel guilty and like demoralized or it's causing us to break our own promises to ourselves. Man, that's crazy.
Yep. Dang. What did he go into the having, doing, and being? I did highlight that. He says, where is something I wanted to specifically point out? Hold on. People now I'm skipping some things, but let me say this part first. People now seek our company, not because of what we have, not because of what we do and society's labels, but because of what we have become. Because of the quality of our presence, people just want to be around us and experience us. Our social description, and I can keep going, but that is.
Go, keep going.
Well, because what happens is, I think earlier on he says, it's like you think you want to do something. What is it? You want to have something. Like I want to have this fancy car, or I want to have this mansion.
Yeah.
But it's not really the mansion that you really want, and so you have to do something to have that thing. So now you have to work this job if that's what you want, or entrepreneur, whatever that is you choose. But even after having the mansion and having the millions of dollars or whatever that is for you, it even goes deeper, because you now have become this spirit, this being that that shines, or that definitely stands out, and people are like, I want to be like that. At least that's the way I kind of come. I don't want necessarily the things as much as I want to be as. And I was like, I want to learn who I am so that I can become that vision that I have in my mind that I do see daily. But it's not like, I gotta have it. It's more so like I might fall into that sometimes. But it's definitely a goal that I have, to be this tycoon, to be this philosopher, to be this man, a very thoughtful individual, a sage, if you will. So that's what the having, doing, being kind of meant to me.
So you know what I did? I rearranged this and started thinking about it because it's like it popped in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was reading this, because he talks about that lower level is all about the having.
Uh-huh.
Then it goes a little bit more. It's about the doing, and then getting us to the place of like and becoming.
Mm-hmm.
But not but I would say I start reading it the way I have pulled it in a lot of times has been do be, a
Do be
quartet.
happy.
Probably got to write about this. But do so what is it I need to do
Mm-hmm.
to become the person I want to be, to have the things I really want
Mm.
that will allow me again to be who I say I really am.
Okay. I can roll with that.
Something like that.
No, I can roll with that.
And it may that last B may not be there, and it may be on the other side, but it's
Mm-hmm.
that have it that's in there. It's not a possession. It's more of a state. So that's why I kind of move it. It could be some of those things,
Mm.
but the state is really the being again. So who do I need to? And it may just stop at the three.
Mm.
So who do I need? What do I need to do?
Uh-huh.
And that's different from how he has it in here.
Right.
But what are the things I need to do? Like change my consciousness,
Oh.
right?
Uh-huh.
So that I can become the right person because I'll have a different pattern,
Right.
right? So that I can have the things that I say I want, and that, yeah, to say that I say I want,
Mm-hmm.
or that I'm going to achieve.
Right.
But I think all of that still puts us in another state of being as well.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. And like you said, with his, I guess I didn't really say what his was. I
Mhm.
mean, you kind of went into it, but like you did say, well, like he said, where is it? Page 113. He says at the lower levels of consciousness, it is what we have that counts. It is what we have that we want. It is what we have that we value. It is what we have that gives us our self-image of worth and position in the world.
Mhm.
So I think coming from like if you guys are into to the chakra system, it's that root-based chakra where, or Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Mhm.
where the base is just survival,
Mhm.
and then it's and you need a place to live,
Sure.
and you need food,
Mhm.
these things. And so that's what I think about at the lower levels of consciousness. So I just wanted to say that part because I kind of gave the way I looked at it
Yeah.
versus what he said, I believe. Yeah.
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 Cool.
Cool.
What else you got? Because I got more. This is where it started to get really crazy.
That Glamour, man.
So,
Glamour was dope.
Glamour was good because it hits. Because let me see where I my big highlights are toward the end of Glamour.
Okay, so yours is in the middle. Okay, mine's are in the middle.
Go
All
for it.
right, so Glamour. First of all, you got what is Glamour? And Glamour means, well, let me see. Where do I want to start with that? So it is the disparity. It is the disparity between what a thing is in itself and the glamour that we have attached to it, which leads to disillusionment. You know, so it's like the Marlboro man back in the day
Mhm.
with the cigarette. Oh man, I want to. Oh man, that's cool.
Mhm.
But you're smoking cigarettes.
Mhm.
So that's looking at it a different way. Um, but glamour means that we have attached sentimentality or we have made it bigger than life. It's like, you know what it is for me? I really wanted an Oscar for
Did
a
you?
very long time. Yeah. When Cuba Gooding Jr.
You
won
didn't ever
it,
tell me this.
yeah, I really wanted one. Yeah, it's one of the things I kept close to the chest.
Okay.
But it was like,
We can get you one.
uh, but when Cuba Gooding Jr. won, he just went like, "Oh man!" And then he lost his mind.
Mhm.
He lost his mind. But what that meant to him in that moment, now, I can't speak for Cuba, but what it reminded me, what it made me feel was that's what I would do if I won it.
Yeah.
And you get all this prestige. And at that time, I wasn't thinking like it gave you more jobs and things of that nature. It was just like that's the pinnacle of being an actor.
Yeah.
And then you there, and now it's like Monique. Okay, now what?
Since you know every damn thing, since you got your degree, And you know every fucking I use hold on, I use that meme every day. Just about since you got your degree and you know every damn thing. Um, no, you're right though, but keep going.
Who said that?
That was Monique.
Monique said that?
Yeah.
Oh, when she was in what movie?
I think the one she got the Oscar for.
Oh, it's for Precious?
Yeah.
Man, she was looking. You looked horrible in that, Monique. You did that. No, I'm saying for real. Like she played that mama.
She did.
Oh, now I know you're talking about. My bad, y'all.
Yeah.
I was just laughing at first. I was like, wait. I know that.
Since you got your degree.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, the Cowtown, because okay, this is what's funny. He says when you get there, because he says when he gets there, he expects to experience all the satisfaction and the glamour associated with that level of achievement.
And it'd be like,
Kowtowing by employees,
yes, sir.
flashy cars,
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
prominent office,
it's gonna be
the
crazy.
labels,
Man.
the titles,
Woo.
and all the exclusive addresses.
Yeah.
But what he finds is that all of these things are superficial.
And
They are very inadequate compensation for the agonizing energy.
absolutely. This is why. So this is the other, like you get to certain places where you like, oh man, I can't. Hey, with it, and you're like, it's a little lackluster.
Right.
So it's not what I thought. I mean, I'm happy to be here.
Like T.I. said in that song, I forgot exactly how when he said, when you find out your favorite rapper lame as hell.
Ooh.
Forgot what song it is.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, who you talking about? That's what it made me think. It also makes me think that when I am in a position of where I can get people in the same room, I really want them to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
I do want them to be engaged, Trey.
Yeah.
We're just going back to another.
Yeah.
I want them to be like in the room and have fun,
Yep.
not because of the name of it. What? I was going to front. I don't mean to front anybody out, but when you go to certain events and they're sponsored by certain companies, and then you're there, you're like, but this is Black and Diamond. I don't know, but you would expect something big, and so when I'm in these acting spaces, it's always funny to me that people expect their agents to be like the ones on TV. My agent got to do, man, you got to do the work. My agent is amazing. She's amazing. At the same time, I'm still doing my job though, which is 90%, which is something you have to remember. The glamour is what people get caught up in sometimes. It's like, I'm this person, so when I walk into this room, I'm gonna do this thing. I was like, all right, you do that if you want to. You better. The goal is I want my head in the clouds, but I'm still down on earth. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I'm rooted somewhere.
Yep.
But I don't want to stay in that negativity. If anything, but going back to the glamour catches people up, and then when they get in it, they don't know now what to do.
Or I mean, it's just I think he talked about this being disillusioned at certain points. Like when you get certain things, you're like, because you glamorized it so much. It's like you got there and you're like, again, it's not all what we thought.
Right. It's a Wizard
because you had for sure.
Yeah, I didn't mean to stop your thought if you had one coming.
No, that's it.
It says the same thing occurs with women in the traditionally feminine areas of achievement. A woman thinks, for instance, if she gets a certain designer dress for the party, that the dress is going to bring her attention, adulation, and admiration, and that it will win her a certain social status. With much sacrifice, she spends a great deal of money and effort on the dress, running back and forth for fittings. But what happens at the dinner party? There, you passing comments.
Nobody's saying that.
So, long story short, with that is we must dissect away that which is exaggeration, fantasy, and romanticization. If I said that right.
Yeah. I was thinking like, because everybody thought the same thing. I'm waiting on you to say, so somebody can be like, I'm waiting on you to say something about my dress.
Right.
I ain't saying, your dress good too.
Man.
That is probably what's happening in that situation. Like, ain't nobody gonna say nothing about my dress. I done spent $1,000 on. Somebody gonna say something. And that's why it goes back. It's like, I like your dress too.
Right. You did that.
Yeah, that's true. There it is.
Ooh. Oh, you said something that made me want to say but that's so deep, because then you start thinking about Well, what does that mean? Emotional goals are also glamorized by sentimentality and emotionalism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he said a certain excitement is projected onto the emotional event.
Mm-hmm.
A reunion, a first date,
Mm-hmm.
being elected president of one's class.
A wedding.
Right.
Yep. You get there. You're like, I'm just kidding.
But what'd be so funny is all the dudes pretty much wearing the same thing.
Yo, that's
Pretty
that's a good joke, by the way.
And then don't let a woman be wearing the same thing another woman wears. It's over.
That's so funny.
It's over because it's like this shit. Okay.
That
I
is.
can't believe what.
We can't do that. Hold on. We'll come back to that.
No, we're not gonna do
That's
that.
so funny sometimes.
Glamour at that level of dishonesty is a fake.
Yep.
It's just certain things that he said that was just like, you are hitting it on the head.
Yep.
Why do you want the things that you want? Is it the glamour that's around? It's almost like smoking weed for some people.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, oh man.
But because it gave a particular. Now it's like, okay.
Yeah. Right. It ain't even a thing no more.
Don't forget that the Marlboro Man was all about kind of like having a rebellious. It was almost rebellious. He was an outlaw, like kind of type of guy. He was like, he didn't have the same rules as the folks up in the city.
Right.
You know, he did what he wanted out here on the range. You know, that was how he was. Smoke up, pull a drag and keep it moving. Right. You know. Right.
I'm on the outskirts.
I'm on the outskirts. I'm outside of law a little bit.
Right.
You know. Though none of his things was like he saw him breaking the law, all that stuff, but he was like, oh yeah, it was freedom.
Right.
We do that. So like when we talking like people smoking weed, like, oh man, yeah, I'm smoking weed. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's cool. My homeboy, who happens to be gay, he's saying now, he's like, man, everybody out here want to be gay now. Hey, you said it, not me.
Okay.
It don't bother me, no.
All right, let's go. All right, so because I want to get into power in a decision because we only got a few more moments.
Oh yeah. Let's get there.
So he keeps going. He gives us some more information. Get some more thoughts on like how to push, and then we go into this thing called the power of inner decision in this section. But before that, he says just choosing to be that person and letting go of the block of desire is the way. Like just choose a person and then start walking in the intention. Don't act up. Like, don't get too firm with it.
Right.
Be okay with like rolling with the river as it moves toward that intention.
Right.
But so we go into power of inner decision. And he says, because of the mind's tendency to want to attribute credit elsewhere. Well, let me part back. These are not philosophical positions, but practical processes that can be proven through experience. It is easy to experiment with these concepts and watch the automatic results that take place. Because of the mind's tendency to want to attribute credit elsewhere, other than the power of its own consciousness, it is good to keep a diary and write down the goals that we really like to achieve and then check them off and make up follow-up notes. Why? Because it will take a while before we believe that it's truly our own power that is accomplishing these ends. Now, talked to somebody a while back. This is why that's really important. Because I was asking those like, so why? Tell me about what's in your journal. And in the journal, noticing they were like, yeah, I do this. I just do this to process my thoughts. I said, are you writing down what you've accomplished? No, I'm just using the process. So this is just a book of sickness, a book of not being healed, a book of harm, a book of memories that are nothing but negative.
Interesting.
I said, think about what you have in here. And did you have anything that you accomplished throughout this time that you've had this journal? Yeah, I've had plenty of things. That is one of the challenges for us. We don't want to write. Sometimes we forget all the things that we've accomplished.
Right.
And it just gets, just totally covered up by the idea of the ideas of a negative life.
Right.
And it's like, no, you've had plenty of things that you've been able to accomplish. You make sure. So when we talk about journaling, we got to make sure folks like write the things down that you have accomplished not just I'm processing. This is what my inner feelings or negative feelings are.
Mm-hmm.
Tell yourself, remind yourself of what you've accomplished, because that's going to give you some big things later on.
Yeah, it will. And to remember instead of remember
Because you
things you
remember,
have
you
done.
definitely remember all the pain.
Yeah, pain is, and to some degree, it's cool. It's cool. Well, I don't mean to remember it,
Yep.
but the effect of it.
Yep.
Because if you don't, I think recognize the pain, it'll continue to come up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. So, are we gonna move
Yeah,
on?
we can. We can. I think we got a little. What you want? Want
Well,
to angle? Or you want to stay right here?
we selfishness.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, go for it. Go for that.
Yeah. The mere use of the word instantly sets up a resistance due to guilt,
Mm-hmm.
because we all feel guilty because of selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
This puts us in an impossible position because, in order to carry out what the world has taught us, we have to indulge in the very thing for which it then condemns us: selfishness. To look at that subject, let's first make a decision that we are not going to beat ourselves up about it and get into the self-indulgence of guilt. That's what guilt is. I could have done this better. I should have done this. I should have done that. These feelings that we've already talked about keep reemerging in different places, in different ways. And so, in selfishness, it, for me, see, I look at it different because I define selfishness different.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the most selfish person is selfless because they're doing it for other people, but they're getting the credit for doing it for other people.
Hmm.
That's the way I look at self,
Okay.
but that's the way I have internalized it.
Gotcha.
Because I had to change the narrative on what's being selfish. Because I'm like, what's wrong with being selfish? In the sense that you need to eat, so eat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I need to look out for all these other people. Well, they already eating, or it's a thing where survival, because you need to survive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in order to survive, you are selfish in that way. I could be, but that's me defining selfishness.
Yeah.
I think he went a little different by talking about guilt and self-indulgence.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says, out of guilt, we strive to accomplish and achieve success.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like the system that we keep playing in. It's like the people who play in pain. Like they have to keep getting hurt, overcoming the pain.
Yep.
Overcome it. Life is too okay. I need some. This is pain. I overcome.
Yep.
And so,
addicted to overcoming. Like, hey, come on.
right.
I get it. Actually, don't get me wrong. You know, we need the growth moments.
Yes.
We need some resistance. We need the inertia.
Correct.
And all of those things so that we continue to grow. But like,
right.
And I feel like,
but living in that
yeah,
pain is. I don't think it's. If that's your journey, that's your journey.
So there's something I remember. I was.
Uh-oh.
This is gonna sound weird, but I was on a lake one day.
On a lake.
I was on the banks of. Actually, I think I was on the banks of a river, and I was thinking about selfishness versus self-centeredness.
Oh, I like this.
I think, and I use big S, self-centered. Actually, because I was like, I think selfish is you not being. So when you say something is something ish, it is derivative of not the real, right? It's like, but it's not.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I talk about. So I'm like, selfish is one thing where you are not actually being yourself, and I think it's not okay to be selfish, but I think it's okay to be self-centered. So centered in who you really are, centered in what you believe, centered in not in the lower ego, right, but centered in like all of who your full embodiment. I think that is just, and then you can see things on it. So that's how I used to kind of talk about it.
I love that, and I love that you said that because we could be saying the same words and meaning two different things. Because I was looking at self-centered as like, ugh. Right. Like everything revolves around you. Yeah. And in some sense, I guess it does, but
that's
right.
Well, I mean, it's kind of synchronicity. What is that? Sync. What is that called?
Is it the one of those terms where it's like heliocentric? Like
No, is it synchronity?
synchronicity?
Synchronicity. Why am I?
Yeah.
I can't talk
Oh,
today.
I know, man. It's one of them days. It's okay. You gotta feel that. Let it flow through.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Maybe you know what? I have not eaten this morning. That's what it
That's
is.
what. Hey,
All
yeah.
right,
I had my little
you
snack.
chilling.
Um,
You know what? Because I usually fast when we
hey,
go.
right. But let's go to anger.
All right,
Real
we're gonna
quick.
run anger. We're
Yeah,
gonna run
yeah.
anger.
This is perfect time to go into
Repressed
anger.
anger is nonetheless the energy of the repressed anger is nonetheless the energy of anger if acknowledged and worked through. It will have consequences to our health and overall progress.
Mm.
One source of pride, then it goes into self-sacrifice. Some of the
That's
quotes.
where I was. Yeah,
Yeah.
self-sacrifice.
Oh, so you see these highlights.
Right.
Yeah,
He's all in there.
it gets in there. One source of pride is connected to self-sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And then it skips on. I highlighted, we are setting ourselves up for later anger
Yep.
because the other person is usually unaware of our sacrifice and is therefore unlikely to fulfill our expectation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He uses a great example in that too.
Man.
He is thinking of all that he has done for his wife and family. So he's thinking about what he's been doing and what he's done all day and the money he's bringing, the bread he put on that table.
So the illusion of self-sacrifice on both sides.
Right.
The unmet expectations from both parties.
Yep.
The unspoken expectations from both parties is cause of so many downfalls.
Yes.
In most of our relationships, I would say.
Yep. Because both are looking for acknowledgement.
They want to have that acknowledgement.
Yep. Appreciate you for everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Even in life, and I don't know what's going on, if life has just been kind of gravy or whatever, I'm always attempting to say the good thing. Like I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the breakfast you made this morning and the tea that you bring me. I really appreciate that because I'm grateful for it.
Yep.
And I see you.
And you gotta be in a place because that again, keep going. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
We got time.
Yeah, the unconscious formula goes, give me what I want, or I will punish you by withdrawal, anger, pouting, sulking, and resentment.
Yep.
That's something I know everybody. I know I do it, and I catch myself like, okay. Oh, so we know.
So you know where this comes all. I put this, and I didn't realize this is before I read the book. But one of our rules, and I mean like a rule, it's a covenant, it's an expectation, is that we don't emotionally stack for negative pieces.
Okay.
So if I didn't meet an expectation, tell me. If you didn't meet the expectation, I won't tell you.
No matter how big or small it is.
Whatever it is, hey, this is what I would have hoped. And if there is pent up anger by something because that's what happened. Like I missed the mark on something, but I thought I did well.
Right.
Or I knew I missed the mark and it didn't hit. It just didn't hit the way we were gonna hit.
Right.
And so you're like, okay, but you didn't tell me. So now I'm thinking, so if then it's the same thing because we all move in patterns, right?
Right.
And so we go into these places. I'm still moving my pattern. You still moving in your pattern. You didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, and all we doing is brewing and brooding. It's just one more time. And it's just like, oh, they said it one more time. They do that one more time,
right?
And I was like, don't emotionally stack. If you see it twice, 3 times, and I actually told my lady, like, if you see me a little bit off kilter for too long, you need to tell me because I need to, because sometimes I don't see it. But if we sometimes are each other's encouragers, and did it for the glory.
The way to offset this anger is to acknowledge and relinquish the pride, next chapter.
Yeah.
Surrender our desire, last chapter, for the pleasure of self-pity, and instead view our efforts on behalf of others as gifts. I've noticed that too in life. I let somebody borrow some money, I ain't get back. Yeah, it was just a blessing.
We got an anniversary coming up. I got some cool stuff planned. I already be like, if it don't work out, if it ain't great, I'm still having a good time. and she don't have the best times, I'm okay.
But it's not about you,
But
Tree.
it's not. But I'm like, we gonna have a good time. It is her. It is centered for her.
Right,
Well,
right.
it's actually centered for both of us.
Right, right.
Stuff that we both like to do.
Correct.
But I'm like, she don't have to cry.
Yeah.
She don't have to be like breaking down. This is the best day ever.
Right, right.
We don't have to go through that.
Right.
She has a good time. Cool. If she has like, yeah, that was great. Okay, cool. I'm fine. We ain't spending a lot of money.
Right.
We ain't trying to. We ain't doing stuff for social media.
Right.
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 We ain't trying to prove it to nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not self-sacrificing, going in like crazy debt to go do something.
Right.
We're just gonna go have a good time.
That's good, man. Acknowledgement is the next chapter.
Yeah.
And he says, we have to constantly let go of our pride in order to undo anger so that we can be grateful for the continual opportunities of growth with which we are presented in the course of everyday experience.
Yep.
Yeah, he says, let's say, for example, that somebody calls us stupid. Our natural response is one of anger. That's me. I can tell you that right now. What is that person asking me to become more aware of is what he's saying we should do, I believe. If we ask let me go back to the sentence. If we ask ourselves the question, we may come to the realization that we were being self-centered. We were being uncaring. We were failing to acknowledge them, and we were not being conscious and aware of what was going on in the relationship.
Don't forget, folks, my self-centered is big S.
Right, right.
All right. Let's just in case.
So, yeah, it's this right and wrong thing that I've been dealing with lately in general. Like what's right, what's wrong. And, I think we said in an earlier podcast that it's about what's aligned, what's misaligned.
Yep.
Because there's something to right and wrong. Right and wrong is very, as you would say, concretized. It's just a line that is different. And I think just like how we just displayed with self-centered and selfish, we both had definitions for the word that were opposite, contrary to each other.
Yep.
But once I understood what yours meant, I said, oh, I actually like that. So I could go with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I knew exactly where you were too. I was like, yeah, I see where it is. I see exactly where it is.
But in media and TV, it's like no one's attempting to see what the other person's saying.
No.
Because if you let go of your point, then you lose or something.
Yep.
So, and I want to acknowledge that.
Yes.
One source of anger stems from the unacknowledged acts of the love that we have expressed to others, which we've said.
Yep.
That was big. And I think a good question is, what have I failed to acknowledge in those with whom I have daily contact?
That's so good, yo.
You know what I mean? What have I not paid any attention to?
Yep. Now,
okay.
Let me tell you, I talk about so I think read the question again, because there it is.
What have I failed to acknowledge in those with whom I have daily contact?
Yeah. I think it's one, I think it's a good question. I think it's a great question, actually. It does bring up the question around, or the thought around interest. And I think you can, this ain't played out yet, but I'm looking at it fully all the way. It's not fully baked. I have done research.
Okay.
I'm just watching. I think you can identify levels of interest by levels of inquiry.
That's good.
I think curiosity and care connect.
You sound good, man. Off top, they sound good.
The reason why, think about it. Like when we start dating someone, we're asking a lot of questions. We are interested in that person.
Right.
We have good inquiry. We're curious. We're caring for them. As you start to see interest starts to fade, they stop asking questions of each other. How was your day? They don't care. Or it doesn't matter as much.
Right.
Or they don't appreciate it as much.
Correct.
Right. Or we don't even appreciate the question anymore.
Right.
Right. You'll start to see the connection start to fade.
I can see that.
So the interest and inquiry. The entry is determined by a lot of inquiry, as well as the intimacy. So it's like you gotta ask questions. Like something's not going on in your relationship, you're not asking questions about it. Again, You have expectations, which is the next piece.
Right.
And why do we fail in most relationships? Unmet expectations, uninformed expectations that are not being met. Ask the question. We got these too many times we come into these relationships, and you know how it's like something changed or something that like you asking stuff in year 5 that you should have asked in month 5.
Right.
And that because you probably was scared to ask the question because you're trying to keep everything. No, you know, you trying to do boom, boom, right? Let's see what that's talking about.
Right.
And you now it's like, oh, where was this? You should have asked it in month 5 instead of year 5.
Sure.
But you're scared of the inquiry. Don't be scared of the inquiry. The inquiry is going to give you what you really want.
Right.
All right.
Get past that glamour.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah. The nagging spouse or scowling neighbor is trying to say something.
Yeah.
Almost always in this sort of situation, such persons are not feeling acknowledged for the contributions they make into our life. So I just wanted to boom with that because that's what you said. Yeah, you got into expectations. Expectation of others is a form of emotional blackmail.
Oh, I got that one.
Yeah, we can feel our resistance when others pull for certain emotional goods from us. We can get away from being emotionally blackmailed by looking at how we do it with others, and then we can let go of wanting to manipulate their emotional responses toward us. Another way of preventing anger is by making a decision within oneself no longer to accept invalidation from others or the small aspect of oneself. All that's big. I have my little niece will do it sometimes. She'll say something to me. I'm trying to give a good example off the top of my mind. It's not coming to me, but it's basically something like, yeah, I wish I could have this thing right there. Yeah, I wish you could too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not about to, and of course she's a child, so they're learning how to get what they want.
Yeah, but you're learning. I hear that.
And adults
do the same thing.
Bro,
I'm gonna be adjacent. I'm gonna be right by the thing I want.
Like we said, just take it.
So
I desire that.
This is some good advice. If you're interested in a particular person, my guys, if y'all interested in a particular person and you don't want to in the friend zone, make the right inquiry. Don't just be adjacent. You look nice. Tell her that you like her, that you want her. No,
like her, you want her.
Like you got you. I think being intentional, definitely. I think we just don't do enough of that, and we're in these spaces where, and he's like, "Oh man, I didn't even know."
Right.
She didn't even know you. I didn't even know you liked him. You go in there like, what? Y'all been hanging around with each other, like silently liking each other for years.
Right.
Y'all don't get out of here with this.
Say words. Use your words.
Use your words, people.
Yeah, you got to.
But you're scared though. That's what it was.
Fear. Oh man, we've been sitting here for a minute. Okay, all right. So, where are we at? Chronic resentment.
Okay. I got
more.
I got a big one here.
Right.
So, chronic resentment. He says that chronic unrecognized anger and resentment reemerge in our life as depression, which is anger directed against oneself.
Damn.
If pushed further into the unconscious, it can reemerge with psychosomatics. With psychosomatic illnesses, migraines, arthritis, hypertension are frequently cited examples of chronic suppressed anger. You know what was interesting? I just thought about it. I just went to the doctor the other day because I went for my regular checkup, and she asked me. Actually, I got on the thing, and I was like, yeah, she's like, when was the last time you worked out? Well, she asked like, what's your workout schedule? It's last time you ate, all that good stuff. Like first thing, come in. Then this is the first time this has ever happened. She's like, how are you feeling? You feel depressed?
You go to the one? Oh, okay, somebody. Okay.
But this was the first time.
That's a good question.
I think that's a great question. And I was like, that's the first time any doctor, and I've only had 3 doctors in my life.
Okay.
Right? And I was like, that's the first time. She's like, yeah, we started doing this right after COVID because we kept noticing that there's something there. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then she said, also start noticing that folks that didn't really suffer too much from COVID, a lot of them saying yes. It's like, so I'm there to get checked up, but now I'm having a conversation. Let's talk through this.
Right.
But I'm sitting here thinking about how many folks are like dealing with chronic resentment. Again, unrecognized anger and resentment reemerge in one's life as depression, which is anger directed against oneself, where you've broken a promise to yourself, where you felt that you missed the mark. Now you're angry with yourself and you haven't let that anger go.
Yep.
It stays right there. By the way, all of that stuff has happened in the past too. I gotta always bring it back. Like it keeps happening. It's all that stuff that has happened in past days. It keeps coming up.
Yeah, man, bringing it back because it's the past. I'm gonna bring it back because you keep bringing it back.
Yep.
Man, I'm gonna keep going. Anger kills the angry person.
Yep.
Not the so-called angry.
Yep.
So when I hear anger being protested, I'm saying, come on, is there another way to do this? That's where I'm at. But let me just say that. If this is true, right? If this is true, the mind would like us to think that there is that there is a such thing as justifiable anger, which, okay, he says if we look at, and he says which takes the form of moralistic indignation. If we look at moralistic indignation, we will see that it is propped up by vanity and pride. We like to think how right we are in a situation and how wrong the other persons are. We get a passing cheap little satisfaction out of that. But our muscle testing proves that what the cost is to our overall emotional and physical economy. So when I hear that, when we're talking about this justifiable anger, for me, you turn into that which you despise. You don't like I don't want to bring anybody out right now.
You start to, unfortunately, there is something where you model that you start to model that which you despise.
Like that.
And so the retaliation, right? The retaliation is more so a reiteration of what was presented to you.
Same coin, different side.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing from the same level of frequency. And
Paulo, and actually we may present, if y'all haven't read, we may actually do Pedagogy of the Oppressed, because he talks about that, about how sometimes the oppressed, when the oppressed get into certain power, they start to mimic the actions of the oppressor.
It becomes the child becoming their parent. And you have to break that trauma bond. So that's
you got to break the pattern. Yeah, you have to break that. You definitely have to break that pattern. Also, this is good. I think this is where you were going with that too. When we talked about, I think it's different. If you're going to, so when we teach like civic action, for example, and engagement, using anger as the motivation. We talked about that in a previous episode, or this episode, or whatever the pain may be. That's one thing. It's not going to give you what you want.
Right.
But if you're using also psychologically, if you're just using a protest, for example, to process your emotion, it's problematic. And I apologize for the alliteration, but if that makes sense. We don't use it to process the emotion, right? We process the emotion so then we can protest how we want to protest.
Right.
If you're full of and also unrecognized, especially in this place of in a state of blind anger, really almost rage,
right,
and frustration and resentment. I don't know anyone that's worth their salt that can actually give you good advice when they are angry, resentful, enraged.
Yeah.
Hold on, but also full of vanity, full of pride. I won't take any advice from anybody like that in that state.
Especially in that state, you can't. It's like breathe, process. Like you said, process that. We got to process through. Then
make your demands.
Right.
And let them know. And then, because it's going to come out in a totally different way. You could be a lot more strategic. Anyway,
Ooh, the alliteration again. Process, plan.
oh man, I can't help
Yeah, hey, that's what
it.
you got to do,
I
man.
can't help it.
Anger is binding, not freeing.
Mhm.
We let go of the energy of anger and its little payoffs of righteous indignation, feeling wronged, and the desire for revenge.
Yep.
It says we're stuck in that negative pattern until that.
Yep.
So, how much time we got?
This is it. This is it. I think we got a minute. But I want to
Okay.
say this. Relinquishing anger, this is the last paragraph. Relinquishing anger brings us many benefits. We are free to experience emotional comfort and ease, gratitude for the daily opportunities to grow and heal, mutual caring for another without subtle strings attached, improvement in health,
Yep.
and more life energy. These breakthroughs allow us to move up to a more effective and an effortless state of inner freedom.
Oh,
You want to get free? Check your anger.
so we'll hit pride next time
Yep.
in the next iteration.
Oh yeah. This is Letting Go: The Path of Surrender. David Hawkins, PhD, MD. We really enjoyed this book. I know.
It's super dope.
I hope
Pick
you
it
all
up.
are too. This is Trey D,
And good man.
and this is As a Man Readeth. We'll see y'all next time.
Read a book.